Hey guys, this is Matt. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're back in the workshop because I've got a few things I need to take care of with these rear bins before I get them put back in the car. And it's like a 105-degree heat index or something outside. It's been stupid hot. And so I'm gonna enjoy the air conditioning while I can. And I know some of you guys from Florida or Southern Texas are thinking I'm a and you're probably right. I am not a huge fan of super hot and humid. Anyway, when I picked up these rear bins, I basically purchased them sight unseen, and the price was okay. I knew they wouldn't be perfect, but as I've had them and have started to try to fit them back in the car, I've noticed several things that are wrong with these that I need to go ahead and try to get taken care of before I permanently get this installed in the car. It's missing all the connection, there's little tabs that hang down and connect across the bottom. A couple of them actually have, where you bolt this back into the body. None of the lids really stay secure when they're closed. That one will stay, but as soon as you touch it, it pops up. So I think I've got, this one's missing the mechanism altogether, but this one I think I just need to make an adjustment and it'll stay. And overall it needs to be cleaned really well, and I've got a few other things I want to do with it. So I've already been out here for a little while trying to get a few things ready, so let me show you where I'm at so far. The rear bins have a tab on the outside and a larger tab on the inside, and mine are missing all the way across. Now when I picked this up, when it was packaged in a box, and one of these tabs was just broken off and sitting inside the box, but I believe it was this one. And I think from pictures I've seen of others, there's a much larger one here. And this is actually where this just has a little slot that it slides into. There's not really a fastener located at these tabs. And then this one actually has a hole through it for a bolt. And you could probably put this in the car and it's never going to be an issue. Once it settles into the carpet and a couple of the other fastenings that are available, I don't think that you need to have these, but you could have some rattles, or this could be a little bit loose if you don't. So what I've done is I picked up some 16th inch, I think this is 1 inch wide aluminum bar, and I've basically made new tabs, and I'll have to figure out how. I was going to rivet these, but I was thinking maybe I could bolt these in just so that if I have to make an adjustment, it's easier to take the bolt out versus cutting out rivets. Just basically bent it at 90 degrees and measured, fit it in there so that it rests nice and flush. And then, the length, I was actually able to put this piece on and take a measurement and get that. I think I have these fabricated and good to go. For these larger ones, I did the same concept. I just left the vertical leg a little bit longer so that once these are in the car, I can locate them and get that bolt hole drilled out. So these are a little bit longer because when I looked at it in the car, these did appear to be, the bolt hole did seem to be quite a bit further down than where this one extended. So I made 2 of those, one for each of these. And you may not have gotten as lucky as I did, but basically all the horizontal parts to those tabs are still intact. So I've got something to connect to. If yours are broken off here, you may not be able to do this. Now, one thing I will need to do is probably trim these a little bit, because where this new aluminum bracket is going to want to be is actually the backside of the OEM tab. So in order to move these forward, the thickness of the tab, I'll probably need to trim these just a little bit on each one so that these can be located exactly where the OEM tab is. And I'll probably just drill a single hole for a very small, like maybe 4mm bolt or something on all 4 of those, and kind of leave everything loosely connected until I get it in the car and verify that everything's lined up. So I think that'll take care of those 4 tabs. And these are the bigger tabs that are on each side of the bin that the rear side panel actually will just snap into this. And I'm lucky that at least this side is mostly intact, because the other side is completely basically gone. There's just a little bit of the front, but there's really nothing here. So I've been able to take this one and make a template, and I'll show you that in a second, that I'll be able to reverse and then take a piece of aluminum and make a tab for the other side. So I will set you up on the tripod so that I can show you with both my hands how I made that. What I picked up is a 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch aluminum bar. Now, I would say if I could find it, I probably would have went with 3/16 just because it's a little bit thinner and might be a little bit easier to work. This 1/8 inch is it's still gonna be easy to work, but it is a little thicker than I probably need. And I mean, considering how thin this plastic is, this is gonna be overkill anyway. So again, that's 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch bar. I took a thicker piece of like kind of cardstocky paper that I had, and I just made some lengths of cuts of it that matched, the 1.5 inch width of this bar. And then referencing this inside lip, so I'm basically resting the paper against this inside lip right here. I pushed it and started making all the creases to match the bends of all the factory location, because it's kind of some angle and it's twisted relative to the bin itself. So doing this, I came up with this shape, and I'll be able to fold this backwards to make the reverse shape to match the other side. And then because I still have some of the plastic on the other side, I'll be able to reference this. So I think this is going to be the easiest way for me to recreate this tab and not have to do a whole bunch of measuring. It's just going to be all relative based off this. Now, the one thing I do need to keep in mind is, I'm referencing the very outside face of this tab. So there is some thickness here that I want, I want my aluminum tab to match this face on the opposite side. So on my little piece I made, I took a rough measurement of the thickness of that plastic and drew an offsetting line. So when I actually fabricate my aluminum bar, my bend, instead of being here, will be where my pencil line is at. And hopefully that all kind of makes sense. But basically it's just I'm not taking any dimensions or measurements. I'm just referencing everything off this tab, and then I'll be able to bend this the opposite way to make the other side. When the panel snaps in, it really only references this bottom slot, the bottom of this slot. I'm just gonna guess because I don't know the exact dimension, but whatever's there seems to be long enough, so I'm just gonna replicate that. So basically, I'm gonna lay this on my piece of aluminum, and I'm gonna take a scribe and kind of mark all these locations, get it cut to length, and then start bending it. I don't have a great method of bending this other than clamping it and hammering it. I don't have a metal brake or anything like that, which would definitely be handy. Let me get this transferred to this aluminum bar, and then I'll check back in once I get it cut to length. After a little back and forth with the file, I've got this, I hate to use words like perfect, but I got it as good as I could ever get it. I don't even know if I could get it that good again, but the fit is really, really nice, and I believe I have all the angles correctly. Worst case, I need to take it off and maybe straighten this out a little bit, but I gauged it off the other side, so I think I'm in really good shape. Now, really the only other thing I need to do is probably drill some holes down here, like maybe do like 2 staggered holes, and then I can bolt through the plastic with some washers, and then I'll also be able to get 1 bolt probably up through here. I'll just use something small like 4 mil or 5 mil bolts or something, and that should be really secure. I did test fit the clip that goes in here, and because this is metal and not plastic and a little bit thicker than the what was intended to be connected, I did enlarge the hole just a little bit with the file. I did bevel this. I don't know if you could tell in the camera, but I did bevel each side of this hole, and that does actually let that clip just slide right in very nicely. So I think the fit and finish is going to be really good. And what I'll do is I'll scan in my template and maybe make a PDF out of it or something like that, or maybe I can draw it back in like AutoCAD or something, and I'll make this available to anybody that wants to email me. I'll put the reference lines in there, and you can print it out at 100% scale, and hopefully if you need to make this yourself, I use my little vise to line up my lines that I made for my bends, and then tapped on it with a hammer until I got the shape that I wanted. So, it's really nice and crisp, and this is gonna be extremely strong, but if you have access to 3/16 inch material, I'd probably use that just so you don't have as much material to have to work, and it's just plastic, so it's not that like you need that much material anyway. I'll probably get my scribe out and just scribe some lines so that I can get an idea of where all this needs to go. I may go ahead and drill the hole up here in the plastic so that I can go ahead and make the corresponding hole in the bracket, and then I'll do the same thing with here. But really that's it. I think for the smaller ones that I made earlier, I can go ahead and probably drill 1 hole in the center and do the matching hole in the tabs. These longer ones, I may just leave these loose for now because I really have no idea where these need to go when they go back into the location under the bottom. So for now, I'm gonna get my drill out and start marking some of these holes, and then I'll check back in a second. I wanted to show you real quick with the rear side panel on. It's just right. I mean, there's a little bit of extra room here at the bottom, so if it does need to adjust up and down, there is just a little bit there. On this side, the seam is really nice and tight, And like I said, there's still just a little bit of room to, you know, once everything's in the car, to get it nice and adjusted. I may paint this bracket, hit it with some black paint, or maybe try to slip something in here so that, you know, there isn't any play and any rattle in the future. I did end up finding some 5mm hardware, and I did put some nylon lock nuts on all three of these so that they shouldn't ever come loose. But that is extremely sturdy. It's probably stronger than what was there by far. There shouldn't be any issues with this long term. It's been a few days since the last clip, and just month of July has been extremely busy for me at the office, so I haven't had much time to get out here, but I am out here and I think I've got a full day ahead of me, so I think we can make a lot of progress on some things. Last time I checked in with the bins, I had just made this bracket here on the side to support the side panel, and I did go ahead and get all of the little tabs for the front connections installed. I did mark where these holes need to be drilled, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that because it was kind of hard to measure. So I want to go ahead and set this back in the car and see if I can get a better location where I need to drill the holes, but that's pretty much done. I do have some cracks on the top side where the bins kind of meet up with the rest of the trim, and they're cracked. So I went ahead and try to push some epoxy down inside that crack to help reinforce that. So that's been drying and it's good to go. So hopefully there, and that you can kind of see where that crack is on that side, and then it's cracked right there. So they didn't feel like there was any movement when I was pushing on it, so hopefully that epoxy just kind of fills the crack and then stops any future movement. But I will keep my eye on those just to see if I need to do anything else. But it is through and through, so it would need a pretty serious repair to fix, but it seems stable, so I'm okay with that for now. And if you didn't notice, I actually got my lids to close and stay closed. I took a piece of the foam and just kind of wedged it in between these little plastic clips, and it actually holds pretty well. I may need to do it to the other side just to give it a little extra support, but at least it's holding now. And then on this side, I actually took apart the lock and reconfigured the tumbler so that it would actually work with my key. I did not get a key when I got these bins, and so I wasn't sure how I was going to keep this side secure, because I am missing the there's a little piece here that connects onto the little nub there, but I don't have that. I'm missing that. So I was going to fabricate something, but then I decided to take a look at this lock. I was able to get it to work with my key. If you find yourself in the situation like I was, where you've got a set of bins that you don't have a key for, and you're interested in how I got my key to work on this lock, let me know down in the comments below, and I can shoot a quick video on how I did that. It's pretty easy. It does maybe take a little bit of luck that your key is relatively close to the key that this was in, but that will keep that lid secure, so I'm pretty happy with that. So other than giving this a really good cleaning and doing some protectant on it, the last thing I really need to do to permanently install this in the car is find out where these holes are, with respect to the body in the car, and get those drilled out. And then I do have 2 good mounting points in the back of the bins, and then one was cut up pretty good by the previous owner, so I'm not sure I'll be able to do much with that one, but I do have these marked in the car. I need to go ahead and drill those out and get the well nuts in there. So those 2 holes in the car and these 2 holes in these tabs are the last things I need to do, but I will go set this in the car so that I can get all that measured up. Before I install these bins for hopefully the last time, at least for a little while, I did want to show you the routing of all my audio cables. So I just use some wire clamps and kind of position them, and running them kind of along the back of the bins there's no way for there to be interference there. So basically wrapped them in Tessa tape and got them secured down. I don't think they're going to move. I did get my 2 holes drilled for the well nuts, so that's all good to go. So I think I can go grab the bins and go ahead and get them installed. And hopefully that's the last time I have to take them out for a while. So when I install them, I can go ahead and get most of the battery cables connected and all that good stuff. So let's get that installed. The Franken bins, as I've affectionately started calling this, are fully installed. I didn't have any issues with getting my bolts in. It's really secure, it's not budging, so I'm happy with that. I did get the 2 fasteners there in the top using the well nuts. I did clean the entire bin with Mother's VLR, but it did get a little bit dirty from me sweating on it, getting it installed. But one more clean down and it'll actually look just like brand new. It looks really good in the car, and I'm really happy to finally have this fully installed, and I shouldn't have to take this out of the car at least anytime soon. I think the next thing that I really need to get focused on is go ahead and take out the back trim, just because I think when I put the side panels on, it'll cause some interference. So I think I can either go ahead and pop out the trim around the back hatch. I've already test fitted the back panel that comes with the rear bins. These are the little brackets and clips where the back seat rest in the JDM version would clip into. I did set the rear panel in there, and there is plenty of clearance, so I don't have to remove these if I don't want to. But I do think that at least at some point in time, I need to go ahead and get all this back trim out before I get the rear side panels in. If I don't start on that, then obviously I've got to get this dash installed, because without that, I really can't button a whole lot of things up. And if you have a right-hand drive RX7 and you want to do the bin conversion, you're going to need basically the bins, the back panel. The two side panels are very similar to the right-hand drive version, but they are slightly different. You might be able to cut the right-hand drive versions to fit, but I think that's really all you're going to need. Now, I did have to cut a couple slits in the carpet to get some of those bolts through. And again, my bins were in rough shape, so I had to make a lot of these little tabs and brackets work. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And if you like the content, please consider subscribing, and I'm going to catch you guys next time.